Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for an exciting webinar with WordStream and Hanapin Marketing, tips to tidy up your PPC clutter. My name is Chris, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. To meet the experts for today's webinar, we have on the line Lisa Wilkinson from WordStream. She's a customer success specialist here at WordStream. She has 2+ years of working in paid search. She's both AdWords and Bing certified, and she provides expert consultation for WordStream customers. So Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We also have on the line Hayley Cummings from Hanapin Marketing. Hayley is an Associate Director of Paid Search at Hanapin. She has several years of PPC experience across many different industry verticals, and she provides thought leadership and drives innovation through paid search at Hanapin. So Hayley, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me as well.
If you'd like to take part in live blogging during today's webinar, you can include the hashtag PPC Spring Cleaning into any of your social media channels. And with that, let me hand things over to Lisa, and she's going to walk you through the agenda.
All right, hey guys. So today on this webinar, we'll be going over some tips on cleaning up your account. This will consist of identifying duplicate keywords and the tools you can use to find those, identifying costly keywords within the account, and finding those underperforming keywords and ads and optimizing those. Then we'll go into areas to QA with a focus on landing pages, negatives, and your conversion types. Then we'll dive into how WordStream focuses on cleaning an account and how it can differ from the way an agency would focus on cleaning up an account as well. So let's get started. So spring cleaning, you know, that elusive word that no one ever really likes to do, but we all need to do it once in a while. So that's where we're going to focus on, spring cleaning your PPC account. This is something that everyone knows they need to do, but they rarely end up doing it in their account. Just like many people do in their homes, when it comes springtime, your PPC account is no different. Here at WordStream, we always say PPC is not a set it and forget it type of industry, which means it's not good to just let your account run for too long without going through it to make sure it is fully optimized. It is so easy to add things into your account and completely forget about them, so we're going to point out some quick wins to help you optimize your account and do the thing that everyone hates to do, which is spring cleaning. So the first thing I'm going to start with today is duplicates. So it's nearly impossible to maintain a PPC account that is free of duplicate keywords, particularly if you have multiple managers working in one account, or if they are frequently adjusting match types and account settings within that account. You're going to find that you have duplicates in your account. It's imperative to your business and your bank account to check for duplicates in the account on a monthly or quarterly basis. Duplicate keywords are defined as keywords with the same match type that are within the same ad group, campaign, or differing campaigns across your account. There are a lot of different ways to truly define a duplicate keyword, but that would probably be the most universal definition that I could come up with. There is one caveat to this definition, which comes into play with broad match keywords. So you want to be cognizant that broad match keywords are duplicates if they contain the same words, even in different orders. So for example, cheap window screens on a broad match and window screens cheap on broad match are considered duplicates. So the big question you really want to ask yourself is, does this really affect your account? And that's something that we here at WordStream and probably everywhere get a lot is, do duplicates really affect your account? There are a lot of blog posts and articles out there that discuss this topic, and people have some differing opinions on whether duplicates really hurt the account, but honestly, trust me, duplicates can be really dangerous to your account. Not only can they have the detrimental impact on your quality scores, but they can also cannibalize your budget. I think the better question to ask yourself is, why would you want to bid on duplicate keywords? I personally know that I wouldn't want to bid on duplicate keywords, so that's what you really should ask yourself. I know some advertisers set duplicates intentionally, thinking that their ad will appear twice for the same auction, but this is a common misconception. If your account is structured properly with relevant ad groups and ad copy, you shouldn't want the same keywords in other ad groups or campaigns showing up when a searcher searches for that term. If you're bidding on the same keyword twice, both can also be opted into entering into the same auction, and you will end up competing with yourself, driving up your own CPCs, and this can really actually have a detrimental effect on your account. Google will then take the keyword with a better quality score and higher max CPC into that auction, which could end up driving up your costs. So, as you can tell, duplicates can really, really affect your account, and we highly recommend always, this is probably, I think, one of the biggest things that you need to focus on when you're doing that spring cleaning is really identifying those duplicates and getting rid of them, because honestly, you really don't want to be bidding on the same keyword twice, and it just can really help you in the long run to get rid of some of those duplicates. So with that being said, there are some situations in which it is perfectly acceptable to have duplicate keywords. So for example, you can use duplicate keywords in campaigns set to serve ads to different geographical locations. This is typical of many advertisers who segment their account by region. And in this case, it is fine to bid on the same keyword in each campaign, as they will never compete in the same auction. So a lot of people, I know with enhanced campaigns now you can actually geo-target within the same campaign and do your location-based bid adjustments to bid up for certain areas. But a lot of people still go with that old method of taking their campaigns and geo-targeting them. So they set one to Massachusetts, one to California, and then they have the same exact keywords in each account. And that's okay. You're not going to compete with yourself. But typically anything outside of that, you're going to compete with yourself, so you really want to identify those duplicates. The other thing is you can also use the same keywords in search campaigns and display campaigns. So since these keywords will be utilized in different circumstances, and they won't hurt your account's performance. So, a lot of people have their search keywords and their display keywords, and either they're the same or they're different. It doesn't really matter. Search and display work very differently, so you can actually have the duplicates there. And lastly, bidding on keywords that contain the same terms but are set to different match types is completely fine. In fact, this is a great way to test which match type is the right fit for your particular keyword, and is used quite often by many advertisers. However, I caution you, if you give this a shot, I highly recommend employing a stacked bidding strategy, which will enable you to bid differently on the different match types to get better success with those keywords. So as you can see here in this example, you want to take the broad match keyword and start your bidding there, and increase your bid for phrase and then again for exact. And you want to bid a little bit more aggressively on exact, because exact match keywords tend to be more competitive and a bit more expensive than phrase or broad. And using this strategy will ensure you're not competing with yourself. So if you look at this example here, we have party favors. We have party favors on a broad, exact, and phrase. We're bidding $2.50 for the broad match keyword, $2.75 for the phrase, and then $3 for the exact. So exact tends to be a little bit more competitive, so you want to bid up for that, because you know that when someone searches for that, they will, they'll end up converting better, so you want to be a little bit more competitive with that. And then the broad tends to be a little bit cheaper, so you want to be a little bit, less with that keyword. So that would be one of the only other ways that you wouldn't have a duplicate or you wouldn't compete against yourself, is if you have the same keywords on the different match types with different max CPCs. So you really want to make sure that you're not bidding the same amount for each of those keywords. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, how do I get rid of these duplicates? And the answer is you're in luck. There's actually a couple of ways to dedupe your account. The first is a bit exclusive to our WordStream customers. We do have a brand new alert in the 20-minute PPC workweek that goes through your account on a weekly basis and finds those duplicates within the same campaign and allows you to pause the underperforming duplicates. Unfortunately, this is only available to those may tag washers on a modified broad, or as some people outside of WordStream call it, a broad match modifier. And they're bidding on that 3 times within. In this example, it's pretty clear to see the winning keyword, and you'd want to pause the other 2 keywords that have little to no traffic. Most of the examples here are pretty clear-cut, as you can see on the screen, but typically when it comes to duplicates, there is But you really want to keep in mind, just because one keyword might have, better metrics or different things like that, it doesn't mean that's the one, that's the one you want to keep and pause the other ones. You really want to look at the metrics and the placement of those keywords when you go to pause them, because that can also really take out those duplicates in your account. So like I said, the example on the screen, it's pretty clear cut which ones you'd want to pause, but there might be certain circumstances where you'd want to take a look at the click-through rate, the conversion, make sure the conversion rate's within your CPA goals, things like that. So you don't always necessarily just want to pause those that have less traffic or things like that. So for those of you who are not a WordStream customer, have no fear. There is another way. The most common tool that people use is actually found in AdWords Editor. So first things first, if you don't have AdWords Editor, you really want to download that. This is Google's free offline tool. So it's pretty simple to download. And the next step, you want to head to the Tools dropdown and select Find Duplicate Keywords. From there, you select exactly what type of duplicates you want to catch based on word order, match types, and location. You can also filter out those in deleted or paused campaigns, which will clutter your list. So I would start small, especially if you have a larger account, and focus on duplicates with the same match type, and then...
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Webinars Made Easy.
So now all you need to do is review the list and make some executive decisions. I would highly recommend nixing or editing any duplicate keywords that are in the same campaign and have the same match type. That would probably be what I would focus on first. That would be really helpful to identifying those duplicates really quickly and not having to go through the entire account. And like I said, you can run it multiple times. And this is a really, really great tool as well. So if you don't have WordStream, feel free to use this editor tool, and it will really help you find those duplicates and eliminate them fast and efficiently. So next up in the spring cleaning process is focusing on your costly keywords. This is something we're always discussing here at WordStream, and it's extremely important to the account's success. A lot of our customers are small businesses, and costly keywords can be detrimental to their accounts. But how to define a costly keyword is also the first step in optimizing and ridding yourself of wasted spend. So and then when you sort, as you can see the image on the right, look at how much you spent on a keyword, and then look at the amount of conversions it has gained. If these fall within your goal or goals, you're good to go. If it's really far off, scores. Historical click-through rate is a big component on determining quality scores, so you may want to focus on that once you have identified your lower keywords. A match type adjustment, just like with your costly keywords, can also help reduce the number of impressions and increase the click-through rate. So maybe you might want to try modified broad match or phrase match types to help improve those keywords. Also, make sure the keyword in the ad text, make sure the keywords are in the ad text to help searchers know what they're looking for is what you're providing. So you may also want to look for keyword phrases or on your landing page that are going to help entice people to convert, and try adding them to your ad groups in a way that you think people will be searching for them. So really and truly understanding your audience and taking those keywords and those little nuggets on your landing page and putting them into your ads, or even bidding on some of those keywords, can really help turn your account around. Because you might think it's really annoying to see the same thing over and over again, but searchers really like to see that keyword saturation and that that repetitiveness of those keywords. So what you think might be too much, too much of that repetitive nature, customers or searchers really like that. So again, simple optimization can help a keyword improve and become a top performer. But keep in mind, if something isn't working and hasn't been working for at least 90 days, then you want to go ahead and pause them. You may have had high hopes for a keyword, but you also need to set thresholds for your keywords and stick with them. Testing out new keywords and pausing old ones can be helpful. 90 days is a great time frame to utilize because it will give you ample historical data, or lack thereof if you have none. And if it hasn't performed by then, don't be afraid to pause.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Webinars Made Easy.
Sessions, it doesn't mean, and again,
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Webinars Made Easy.
ready to pause something, it's not going to give you the return, especially after 90 days. So really, really go in and clean up. You always want to be testing your ads. It is always important to refresh your ads at least on a monthly or a quarterly basis. You can determine a threshold of time that works best for you, but in general, every quarter is a really good start. Go through ad group by ad group and identify those ads that are either not showing up at all or when they are shown have little to no clicks. I typically sort by click-through rate when I'm going through my ads and take it from there because typically ads with a lower click-through rate mean that they're not as relevant to that searcher. You should have between 2 to 4 ads running at all times. So A/B testing them should actually be a piece of cake. So if you have more than 4 ads, you really want to clean those ads out, and not 4 ads that 2 are paused and 2 are running. I'm talking about more than 4 running ads at a time because A/B testing really shouldn't be a hard part of your your normal process of optimizing your account. So if you have more than 4 ads, I would definitely go through and clean those up. And like I said before, when you're restructuring or you're doing this spring cleaning, it can be really easy to get off topic or move things around and forget about your ads. And your ads are actually probably one of the most vital parts of your account, so it's really important. And A/B testing your ads is really a piece of cake. So you want to identify by sorting by click-through rate. You want to identify the poorly performing ones of the ad group and pause that one. Pause the poorly performing one and try writing a new ad. Keep in mind the keywords in the ad group and the landing page the ad will go to. Use a really strong call to action and update your ads if you're having any major sales because this can be a huge help in getting those searches to your site. I mean, who doesn't love a sale? I love a sale. It's what I look for, the free shipping, tidbit or the 50% off sale or clearance section. We all love that little, that little tidbit of, that little nugget that really gets that person in. So if you're having sales or if you do something differently than your competitors, this can be a really big advantage to you, and you really want to set yourself apart from your, those pesky competitors. And sometimes it can be really hard to do this. So having that little, that really awesome ad copy is the first step into getting yourself set apart. So not only I think, duplicates are really important. I also think ad copy is extremely important to your account. I always say it's your, it's your pitch. It's your little 5-second spiel that you have to really bring searchers in. So you really want to spend a little bit of time thoroughly going through your ads. And like I said, if you have this optimized, it should be a piece of cake to test out your ads. So the other kind of portion to this is when you're A/B testing your ads, you want to make sure your ad rotation is set properly. Most people use the settings to optimize for conversions, which will then favor those ads with conversions to show more often than the rest. I was actually told once that even on the optimize for conversion setting, your ads will still show up semi-evenly. But I really think that if you're trying to A/B test out your ads and find out which ones are better, you'll want to rotate them evenly. If you choose later to go back to optimize conversions, you can, but it is really hard to determine which ad is truly performing the best if only 1 out of 4 are showing. And then you also want to take a look at the settings and determine what is best for you. And kind of along the lines of settings, you really want to check your campaign settings and all your different types of settings to ensure that when you're doing that spring cleaning of the account that all of your settings are still relevant, you're still going for this, like the right locations. I know with enhanced campaigns that really, it really messed with a lot of people and their accounts, the way that they have them structured. So now that enhanced campaigns have rolled out, it's been a really long time since they have. It's really important to go back and identify your settings and make sure that everything looks good in the account and understanding, where you're at with those. So it's really important to test out your ads and that's something that we always here at WordStream tell all of our clients is test your ads. You always want to be A/B testing your ads. It's so important, and I can't stress it enough. If you didn't get it already, I think ads are really, really important. So now I'm going to throw it over to Hayley. She's going to go over areas to QA in your account.
Thanks, Lisa. That was some really awesome information. So building upon everything that Lisa just discussed, I'm going to talk about some key areas within your campaign to QA. So traffic to the site is only as good as what they can do when they get there. So here we have an example of Hanapin Marketing's HeroConf landing page. So this is a PPC conference that Hanapin is hosting this April in Austin, Texas. As you can see here, there is a clear offer to register at the top right-hand side of the page. So also you may notice the color scheme is very appealing to the eye. So this is based on these colors being opposite each other on the color wheel. So complementary, and we find that when testing this, it's very appealing to the user when they land on a page that uses that strategy. So when we're looking at landing pages, there's a few areas that we can focus on. So the first thing is destination URLs. Are you setting this at the ad group level, or are you setting it at the keyword level? If you're not quite sure, it probably means that it's not uniform throughout your whole account. So if you have more than one person setting up a campaign or adding new campaigns within the account, one person may take a keyword approach and the other may take an ad copy level approach. So unfortunately, what this does is give certain ad groups much more relevancy. So if you're landing, let's say, a shoe category, our shoe ad group is using very specific, hyper-relevant keyword level landing pages, so that when that person searches on a very specific type of shoe, they're landed on a page that only shows those options. And then in another ad group, let's call it the winter coats category, if they're using the ad group level, they may not be able to have that same hyper-relevant experience. So make sure that you have your destination URL strategy uniform throughout the whole account. That way, when you're looking at which categories perform the best, you can be sure that they're all being given the same opportunity to perform. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how are you tracking? So ask yourself, how are you tracking the success of your PPC campaign? If you are measuring registrants, as we just saw on the HeroConf landing page, is it easy for someone to take that action when they land on your website? If you're tracking form fills or phone calls, make sure that that call to action is right there and in front of the user when they land on the page. If they have to scroll down, or if it's small, hard to read, or not drawing their eye to it, then there could be some very simple things that you do on that landing page that can increase that conversion rate, and even it may even include changing where you're actually landing your PPC traffic. So in the past, I've had experiences where we've been landing all traffic to a landing page that has, let's say, a video and a long video on it. Now, while that may be a very kind of prized asset to the client, that's not necessarily what someone looking to purchase or to convert is looking to do on their landing page. So taking a step back and really trying to think about, if I was the user, what would my experience be like if I was asking for a very specific product and then I was watching a video on the landing page. So take a step back and just try to QA that. Spring cleaning is a great time to make sure that you're actually providing that user with a really great experience when they click through a PPC ad. So next we're going to talk about hyper-relevancy, which is one of my favorite phrases. You'll notice I've probably already used it 4 times. So during spring cleaning, why not make sure, as we just said, that each person that comes to your site has the best experience? So we just talk about ad ad level versus keyword level destination URLs. If it's possible to have a keyword level landing page, yes, this takes time, but since you're paying for that click and the consumer may like your ad, if the landing page is not related to that search, you have potentially wasted money. We know that PPC users or people who click on paid ads can be very fickle, so if they get to the page, they don't see what they want, they're going to just hit the back button and do another quick search and change that search query until they can get what they want really quickly. So if you can, spring cleaning is a great opportunity to really go through and make sure that every consumer is getting exactly what they want when they click through one of your ads, and every time you pay, you're giving them the best opportunity to convert. So finally, we're going to talk about CRO, which is a big focus here at Hanapin. And for those who don't know, that is conversion rate optimization. So it's a really great thing to take advantage of while you're doing some spring cleaning. It does require codes to be placed on the site, and I know that those kind of get pushed down the list because there's lots of other things that are maybe more important. But getting those codes placed is relatively easy, and why not take the time while you're spring cleaning to check those off of your list. So an average CRO test, we like to say, could increase conversion rate by 10%. And we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but changing very simple things on the landing page like button color, we talked about using complementary colors, so the colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, call to actions, different headlines, very simple things that you can do to change the website, and then running a A/B testing, so running both of those versions side by side until you have enough data to claim statistical significance, and then move on to the next test. So sometimes if we've hit a plateau of, we've got a great CPA, we've got a great conversion volume, what's next? What can we do now? There is a level of keyword research and expansion that should be done, but sometimes you will hit that point of diminishing return. So CRO is a great next step if you're at that level especially. So if everyone can take a look at this screen, and this is something that I see very frequently when logging into new accounts for clients that we've recently won. It's something that I'm sure everybody's really used to seeing if you log into your AdWords accounts. So what we're seeing here is AdWords is basically telling us that the negative keywords that we have in place are blocking a list of keywords that we're actually targeting. So hopefully you're not seeing this in your campaign. There are situations where maybe this is part of your strategy and you are aware of it and it makes sense to you, and if that's the case, then go ahead and ignore it. But in some cases, we want to make sure that we get out of our own way and make sure that those negative keywords are exactly what we need in place to be successful. So negative keywords are a strategy, and strategies change as you grow your business. So here we have the Hanapin, the state of paid search logo. So we do a lot of research here at Hanapin and try to find out, what's next in paid search. Is the industry growing, and what places are we growing? What should we be focusing on? So I've been in PPC for 6-ish years, and it's only gotten bigger and better, and dollars have shifted towards paid search. And as your business grows, those negative keywords are a perfect way to kind of hold yourself back without really knowing that you're actually doing that. If you are growing your business and things are changing and you never take the time to go back and make sure that your strategy still aligns with what is actually within your account. So negatives are not permanent. You can choose to remove a negative to test how certain themes of traffic perform. So an example of this would be, let's say you're new to PPC and you decide that your money is not best spent bidding on competitor terms. now you're a year in, you're seeing great returns, you're extremely efficient in your cost per conversions, and you want to start doing some keyword research or some expansion. And you decide, maybe it is in my best interest to test out how some of those competitor keywords will perform. If you build out a campaign and you have or maybe even an ad group, and you have some campaign level negatives that you put in place when you first set up the account that include those competitor terms, you could be blocking yourself from actually reaping the full benefits of those campaigns. So make sure that your new strategy aligns with exactly what's in the account. Another example is old messaging. So if your website has changed and you're blocking certain messaging keywords within your negative keyword list, just be sure to go ahead and update that. So for example, if you've expanded your business from a very B2C focus and you're now focused on consumers as well, you may have put negatives in place that include the words like personal or home or anything to include non-corporate sort of traffic and conversion. So make sure as you expand your company and you test out new channels of traffic that you are not blocking those. And then finally, high funnel traffic terms. So if you're selling, I use this example often because I have some experience with this vertical, but if you're selling, for example, stand mixers, and you know that the people that are going to search for a stand mixer are people who are baking, maybe you want to test out keywords that are very high funnel around baking recipes and getting those top of results page ads in front of them when they're actually searching for, how to make a birthday cake or low carb birthday cake recipe. So those types of expansion and exploration could be they couldn't work if you had some negatives in place that would basically block that type of traffic. So next, embedded negatives. So embedded negatives, we talked a little bit earlier in the deck about negatives and having a very specific bidding strategy on those negatives. Another way to make sure that you're not overlapping, meaning a exact match keyword is matching within your broad match ad group, is using something called embedded negatives. So this again is a little bit time consuming but necessary if you are using that multiple match type strategy. So if you were to use that stacked bidding strategy that Lisa spoke about plus embedded negatives, you're almost guaranteed to have a very kind of tight, clean, easy to manage account. So what this would look like is match types segmented by ad group, and then your exact match ad group would not need any embedded negatives, but your phrase match and your broad match ad groups would need them. So your broad match would need that exact same list of positive keywords on phrase and exact, and your phrase match ad group would need that exact same positive list of keywords on exact match. So again, this is time consuming, but it really helps make sure that all of your reporting is accurate and the keywords, the search query report is much cleaner, and you can be certain that when you look at how a keyword's performing, it's very easy to go then and make bid optimizations and changes and feel confident that you're going to get the result that you're really looking for. So now we're going to talk a little bit about conversion. So does your AdWords account paint an accurate picture of performance? This is an example of what, if you're in the AdWords interface, what the conversions drop-down looks like under the Tools tab. So you'll see here it lists all conversions. This example shows completed sign-up, new subscription, or renewed subscription. So all very important things for this advertiser to be measuring. In the top left, you'll see an orange or reddish button that says plus conversion. So one thing that we'll talk about is making sure that your AdWords keeps up with all of the things that your company wants to track. So, for example, if you've added a chat functionality, which we've recently done on hanapinmarketing.com, making sure that we're able to track those chats and measure the success of that is really important. So definitely make sure that all of those metrics are being pulled in and called conversions within your AdWords account. So here's some examples of what potential conversions could look like. Sales, which is very common with e-commerce clients. It could also look like transactions. ROAS is another one that we track very frequently with our e-commerce clients. Lead forms. So if you're a lead aggregator, or you all of your business is done through kind of outbound reaching out based on lead form fills. This is extremely important. And then phone calls. So many businesses still convert their sales over the phone. So this gets a little bit trickier, and measuring the PPC-driven phone calls often require a third-party call tracking system like If by Phone. So these, again, these take a long time. If you're going to set some time aside to do something like this and really designate a month or so to spring cleaning, this is a great time to kind of set the expectation internally with your team that, hey, I've got a big list of things to do. We've been putting it off for a while. I'm manually pulling reports and combining things to make my reporting accurate, and this is going to stop now. I'm going to put some time into it, and we're going to have a better result in the end. So the next question here is, are you using all the tools at your disposal? So as of February 2014, Google added some new ways to track conversion. So converted clicks took the place of one per click, and conversions took the place of many per click. And then we also have all and unique conversions. So an example of why you would use all conversions, which counts all conversions that happen after an ad click. So an example would be you own a travel booking site used to reserve both hotel rooms and rental cars. You'd like to see how your ads drive each type of booking, so you choose to count all your conversions. When someone traveling to, let's say, Chicago, Denver, and New York books a hotel room in each city, which would equal 3 reservations total, and a rental car in only Chicago and Denver, which would equal 2 conversions, this conversion setting will count 5 total conversions for that user. So even though they've gone to your site once and completed maybe one final action, which would be or maybe 2 final actions in each category, 5 total conversions were completed. So that's an example of when you would really like to see which types of keywords are driving that increased average order value, or average visit value, we'll say. So the next version is the unique conversions. So with this setting, AdWords counts only unique conversions that happen after an ad click. So this is a good choice if you're not interested in the number of sales, but instead whether or not a certain kind of lead was generated. So an example of this would be, so you run an insurance company, let's say, that offers home, auto, and life insurance, and measure conversions for each type of policy as a different conversion action. You'd like to see how well your ads drive people to fill out a form on your site requesting information about one or more of the insurance products. So you notice people sometimes fill out multiple forms with different values for the same product. If the same person fills out 3 auto insurance forms and 2 home insurance forms, this unique conversion will show you 2 conversions for that visitor. So 1 for each type of conversion action. So if you've got different categories that you're supporting within your business, In this case, it was auto, home, and life. That's a great way to track kind of which categories are converting without the all conversions potentially convoluting the data. So if you're interested in setting up this data, you'll find this information in the settings page where you can choose how you'd like to count your conversions within your chosen conversion window. So it's pretty user-friendly. I suggest everyone take some time after this when they're doing their spring cleaning to really think about if these types of conversions would be helpful for them, and then maybe do a test and see how that could work within your account. So create a test conversion setup. If you're changing the way your conversions are already set up, you'll go into the Tools tab, select Conversions, click the name of the conversion you'd like to edit, and then click the Edit Settings tab, so you can do that all in the interface as well. Now, if you are using CPA targeting, I urge everybody to QA this pretty closely, because there are some limitations that are occurring if you're trying to, let's say, base the CPA targets on something like unique conversion. So I know there's limitations in that area, so I do advise some caution if you're setting that up.
Cool. Thanks for that. So Hayley, sorry, my microphone was down. So Hayley and I were discussing different ways that we operate, you know, how we operate here at WordStream and how it differs from, you know, how they operate at Hanapin Marketing. And we actually found that we had a similar approach, but a different execution style. And, you know, this wasn't a surprise to both of us, but we wanted to point out a couple of the ways that we would approach a spring cleaning when it comes to our new clients. So here at WordStream, we get a lot of new clients who've actually previously been using an agency to manage their account, and they want to bring it in-house, or they hired someone new to manage the account and need some help. So with our software, we take a little bit more of a do-it-yourself attitude and provide you with the tools and guidance you need to manage the account on your own. So we actually have this 20-minute PPC workweek. It helps you optimize your account fast and efficiently every week, as well as tools that help you structure, do keyword research, and easily create new and improved ad copy. So our goal here is to help you truly learn your account. And the first thing I tell all of my new clients is, especially if they've come through from an agency, is that you, if you haven't set up your own account, you really need to learn how, you know, the structure of your account and how it works. It's easy to manage your account once you set it up yourself, but if you are not the one to build the account you're working with, then it really is imperative that you take the time to learn the account structure. And honestly, that's the first step in your spring cleaning process and will help everything move a lot smoother. So the good news is you already have a leg up on, you know, anyone else, because by managing your own account, you know all the ins and outs of your industry already. So structuring should be easy, and it's a great place to start. So that's typically how we approach new clients who've never truly managed their own account before, and it's not a bad thing at all, but my biggest advice would be to learn your own account first, learn your structure, and utilize the software for the more do-it-yourself, you know, type of attitude. And so I know Hayley has a little bit of different perspective.
So for the agency perspective, as Lisa just pointed out, we do things very similarly. Because I'm working with the clients and actually managing their campaigns for them, a lot of the work that we have to do when we take on a new client involves a lot of organization and communication and preliminary conversations so everyone's on the same page with expectations. So the first thing we do after the kickoff call with the client is schedule a meeting with the individual who is actually managing the campaign. So this could be the CEO of a company. It can also be a designated PPC manager within the company. So this meeting happens with the AM who's managing the account now and that very specific person. So we'll ask questions like, you know, how often were you pulling a search query report? Or how often were you logging into the account in general? That's the great indicator of kind of what what that relationship is going to be like. So if they were never logging in versus I log in every hour on the hour, the expectations of an agency will obviously be varied. So next we would definitely want to dig into the change history. So finding out exactly, like we talked about, how often things are being updated. This could also include bid rules, automated bid rules. So looking at could there be rules that are in place that are potentially canceling out changes that we would be making manually. So if there are bid modifiers happening daily and the CPC is just kind of looks like a zigzag if you pull it for the past, all history, which is never consistent, so always using previous data and then resetting daily. That's something that we would want to have a conversation with the client about and see if we could either reset or find out what the very specific strategy is that warrants that type of daily change. So then we'd want to find out if their goal was based on breaking even or increasing an existing profit. So many times we get a goal and we're not exactly fully looped in on the business, the state of the business at that time. So for example, if a client is just trying to turn a profit on their PPC campaigns, the level of urgency for us to pull down maybe that CPA is much higher than a client who is seeing great return on ad spend and looking for more volume of conversions and doesn't necessarily care so much about CPA increasing or decreasing between 1% and 5% month over month. So then we look for large holes in the strategy that can be easily fixed. So for example, geo-targeting and geo-modifying is something that is very easily kind of, I don't want to say messed up, but it's very easily confused, and the strategy can be very complicated. And when we take over a new account, one of the first things we do is go into the settings tab and really do a deep QA of what exactly is this campaign trying to do. So if it's targeted to Atlanta, but there are versions of ad copy that mention a different location, that's obviously one red flag. If we have a campaign that is targeted nationally with geo-modified ad copy, so Atlanta-specific ad copy that could be matching anywhere based on broad match keywords, that's a different kind of red flag. So there's lots of different ways that could look when we log in and we prepare ourselves to kind of dig in and fix it, since that getting that initial click is really the first step for increasing the end goal.
Well, we'll get right into Q&A. Thank you for sending your questions in. So we'll just jump right in here. The first question I have is, so somebody has a negative, so they have a keyword that's performing very well, so they have a high click-through rate on their ad, but they're not converting. Their question is the ad copy misleading, or is there some sort of disconnect on the landing page?
So they have the ad has a high click-through rate, but they're not seeing the conversions on the landing page?
Correct.
So Hayley, I don't know if you have any input on this one. Particularly, usually when this, gets presented to us here, it typically is probably more of a disconnect on the landing page. If people are clicking on your ad but they're not converting, it's either a misleading ad copy or an irrelevant click that came there, or it really depends on what you offer and how long. Again, kind of going back to what I was saying before, that buying cycle. If you have a longer buying cycle, I'm not sure what type of conversions you're looking at, if it's like a form fill out or a lead gen or a purchase, but typically when someone presents us with that question, it usually has to do with the fact that something on the landing page isn't as relevant to what they were looking for. Because I know that when I search for something, if I go to a landing page and it's not exactly what I was looking for, I won't I won't click on it. Or I'll go right back to the search results page because I want to be presented with exactly what I was looking for on that landing page. And if I have to do a little bit of digging around, I mean, I'm super lazy when it comes to, searching on the internet. So I'm pretty sure most people are. So that's why typically that could be it. But there's so many different reasons why you'd have to kind of dive in. But typically it has to do with your landing page not being as relevant.
Cool. So the next question we have here, this one's for Hayley. So Hayley, you were mentioning that feature when you log into AdWords that you see in a lot of new accounts. Can you just kind of expand on what that actually means? That's the negative keywords blocking targeted keywords. Can you just kind of touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So that alert will show anytime you have a negative keyword that would potentially overlap with a keyword you're trying to bid on. So if you're using an embedded negative strategy, you could get this alert, and that would be fine as long as you knew that you were using that strategy and you were able to kind of QA that there was nothing additional. You can expand that alert and see exactly which keywords they're referring to. So in that embedded negative example I just talked about, you could have a keyword that you had an exact match version of as a negative, and that could potentially decrease your volume on a broad match version of that keyword. So it may say that you're decreasing the traffic that you could get from that keyword, but if you knew that that was your strategy, you could take that with a grain of salt and ignore it. Now, if you have keywords that you are blocking that you actually want to show up on, that you actually do need to kind of remove in order to get the volume and the traffic that you're looking for, just open up that alert, and it should give you a list of all of those keywords. So this can happen relatively easily especially if you're uploading a new campaign and you're using a similar structure. Cutting and pasting and mistakes can happen. So look for that, especially after you upload a new campaign.
Great. And this is a question for Lisa. So you were talking about costly keywords earlier in the presentation. One of the attendees asked, what kind of time frame should you get when deciding if you're going to cut off costly keywords?
So going back to what I was talking, I think I mentioned this a little bit when I was talking about costly keywords, but you can really identify a threshold that you feel is really comfortable for you. Typically when you're testing things out, we always suggest 2 to 4 week period of really identifying if it's a good keyword for you or not. Usually between 2 to 4 weeks you can get enough viable data to, historical data to really determine if that keyword's working for you or not. But if there's a keyword that you really think is, very relevant to your business, I would say a 90-day period is really a good threshold to identify. Hayley and I were talking before the webinar, and we were talking about how you really just don't want to hold on to those keywords. If they're not working for you, they're not working, especially after 90 days. It's not all of a sudden going to be a big boom in that keyword. So if you're seeing, this keyword's costing you a lot of money, and especially if it's not converting within your marketing goals, you really want to go ahead and pause that, because you can always re-enable it again if you need to, but Google will have no problem spending your money on other keywords. So try out other longer tail keywords, try keywords on a different match type, try different things in the account. Don't hold on to keywords that might convert or you think are going to convert, because if they haven't converted in 90 days and spend a lot of money, you really don't want to hold on to those keywords.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. So the next question we have here, what tools would you recommend for CRO? And I think this is a question for Hayley.
Sure, thanks, Chris. So internally, we use Optimizely and Crazy Egg. We find great success with working with those tools. I know that there are others, but we've, as I said, seen these two work really well. So I can personally recommend them. I know there's more on the market. I wish I had a longer list for you, but I think Optimizely and Crazy Egg. Crazy Egg is basically it's sort of like a heat map, so you can see where people tend to click when they're landing on your site. So If there's an area where you haven't implemented a button or a click-through, or it can just be very, very interesting and revealing as to how some users are trying to navigate through your site. And then Optimizely is extremely user-friendly and a great tool for just setting up those very simple but quite impactful A/B kind of landing page tests.
Awesome, thanks. So I think we have time for one more question here. So how many ads would you suggest A/B testing per campaign?
So when you A/B test, you typically, like I said before, you really want to specify between 2 to 4 ads. If you're kind of new to it, you can do 2 ads. It might be easier. But like I said, after 4 ads, it gets really confusing. And it's actually a Google best practice to only have 2 to 4 ads in your ad group. Just because, like I said, A/B testing will be a piece of cake if you only have the 4 ads to really go through. You just want to identify the, you can do, if you have 4 ads running, you can do, you can pause 2 of them and and add 2 new ones. Or if you have 4, you can either go through and pick, 3 winners and pause the underperforming one, and then just try a different approach. And sometimes it's just a tweak of of one word, or like I said, an offer or something along those lines. But typically, I highly stress that you really don't want more than 2 to 4 ads, and you typically want, if you are advertising on mobile device, at least one mobile preferred ad within your ad group as well.
Great. Well, I think that's all the time we have. We're going a little bit over here, so I'd just like to thank everybody that joined us today. Thank you very much. Don't forget to sign up. If you want a free trial of the PPC Advisor software from WordStream, you can go to wordstream.com/ppc-free-trial. And if you want to sign up for that free solutions blueprint from Hanapin Marketing, you can go to hanapinmarketing.com/solutions-blueprint-sign-up. And Hayley and Lisa's information is on the screen if you guys have any additional questions. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see you at our next webinar.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Take care.